you are at a point you're supposed to, and at a point you're not supposed to. You're saying they're just talking about two different points. Which, again, right, so the answer based on what we're saying over here is actually that they're both always true, and I'll explain in a second.
I think there's also like the fact that this is under the category of mitzvah, this is ramifications of your mitzvah. This is not why you're doing it. You're doing it because you're mitzvah to do it. That's why it happens to be, Hashem gets to fulfill what he created the world for, and that was to be made it to you. But you're not doing it so that Hashem can be made it to you. You're doing it because Hashem said so.
So
that's how you should serve Hashem because you're in heaven. So it happens to be, you might get rewarded, but you're not. He's not saying here that you should do it so that you will get rewarded. He was saying here that you will do the mitzvah because you're commanded to do it, which will then create a shlemus, which will then create an ability for Hashem to reward you. That's two. There's the gvir and there's the ani. There's the person who's asking for the tzedakah, and then there's the person who's giving tzedakah. When the ani asks for tzedakah, the fact that the gvir gives him the tzedakah or doesn't give him the tzedakah is not his part. The ani asks for his part. He can't say you need to give me money because that's not his part. Our part is to do the mitzvahs that we're commanded. The usher makes his decision, and that it's to be made to him to give the tzedakah.
Okay. I'm not going to disagree with it, but I'm going to improve it. How's that? I'm going to use what you're saying, but I'm going to argue on. I'm going to disagree with one aspect of what you're saying, and that is that the Ramchal here is saying that we should be doing it for this purpose. And he said that in the beginning in the first chapter as well. But it all works. So let me explain how it works. And Rav Chaim Friedlander explains this in his commentary. The idea is as follows, and again, it's a little bit of a deep concept. But if we understand that Hashem wants to give us reward, so when we say that we should be serving Hashem to get the reward, what that means is we're doing this in order to fulfill the will of Hashem, which is to give us reward. Meaning, we're not doing it for the reward per se, we're doing it so that Hashem can give us the reward. Meaning, which sounds like the same thing, but what that means is we're doing it for Hashem. Now, what Hashem wants is to give us reward. So in that sense, yes, we are living our lives to get the reward. But the point of getting the reward isn't the reward. The point of getting the reward is the fact that Hashem can give it. And we're doing that for Him. Because He wants to give it, and we're giving Him that opportunity. So really, it's never for the reward, meaning the end goal is never the reward. The goal is to give Hashem what He wants. And by deserving the reward and doing the things that will get us reward, we are giving Hashem that opportunity, so to speak. So it's like what you're saying, it's just a little bit deeper. The idea is that we are doing it for the reward, but that's not the goal. The goal is we're doing it so that Hashem can give us the reward. And this way, those two things are not contradictory at all. All right, just a nice little tidbit there from Chaim Friedlander on how this all works together. Okay, good? Comfortable? Uh-oh, I'm getting that snug smile. Go ahead, Doc. What are you thinking?
I'm just a little bit confused by the phrase you was what God wants, because I always thought that you say that God has everything.
You are absolutely correct. You are absolutely correct. It's not the kind of want, and this is something we learned way back in the beginning. It's not the kind of wanting that comes from a lack. It's the kind of wanting that comes from an overflowing of goodness. It's not because Hashem is missing something and therefore He wants something that He doesn't have. It's that the goodness overflows and necessitates it.
Goodness overflows and
It necessitates. Okay.
It's about the giving.
Hashem is the ultimate of goodness. The ultimate of goodness necessitates doing goodness for others. It's not a lack. It's not born from not being able to do something. It's not because of something that's missing that I need to have. It's the definition of goodness. Okay. All right, moving on. Yes? We're comfortable? All right. All right. Achein, however, Masha ha'adam mishtamish min ha'olam letzarchai, that which a person uses in this world for his needs. The first thing you have to know, and let's just take eating for an example, because that's something we all need. You have to make sure that the eating is done within the boundaries that Hashem set for us. Dahainu, meaning, there should be nothing in this eating that Hashem said you need to avoid, and that is prohibited by Hashem. So the food, again, if we're sticking to food as the example, it has to be kosher, it has to be yours, can't be stolen, right? And it has to be on a day that you're allowed to eat, at a time that you're allowed to eat it, right? There's rules, okay? And now the second level is that there shouldn't be, in this eating, let's say, again, eating is just an example, that which is appropriate for a person's health, the kiyum chiyusai, and keeping a person alive, in the best way. Not based on your desires and your interest in having extras and things that you don't need. That can't be the drive. It has to be for your health. And now the third aspect is the intention, what's going on in your head at that time, that the body should be the appropriate medium and vehicle through which the neshama can do what it needs to do for the service of Hashem. That there should be nothing stopping the neshama from doing the will of Hashem because the body is too weak or the body is not properly prepared to do what the neshama wants it to do. Yes. No. This applies to all the things that are in the category of things that we need to do. Things that are not mitzvahs, but there are things that we need to do to live. So anything in that regard, which is eating, which is drinking, which is sleeping, which is exercising, which is making money, all the things that we need to do to live, they need to be done with these parameters. A, it has to be permissible, and B, it has to be what we need, and C, it has to be with the intention of, I'm doing this so that I can serve Hashem. If I don't eat, I can't serve Hashem. If I don't sleep, I can't serve Hashem. If I don't have a roof over my head, I can't serve Hashem. If I sleep too much, I'm not serving Hashem. You're welcome. What would you know about exercise? It's like I'm talking about sleep.
But when we talk about reasons why people engage in exercise, it's not this.
When people engage in exercise, the reason is not this. Some people.
Okay, so like for me,
Yeah.
like I take that the phrasing, by the means to best maintain his health and preserve his life, like maintaining health
Mm-hmm.
is the reason why I exercise. It's not to like someone more external things like losing weight, whatever else. Because, but most people, when they think of doing that, it's not because they want to be able to like serve Hashem fully. It's because they want to like either maintain or lose weight.
Mm-hmm.
So I feel like if more people went about that from this perspective,
Mm-hmm.
probably more people.
Sign them up.
I mean,
You want to like blow this up and put it on a poster in your room?
I was talking to Leanne a couple of times about like how I have always wanted to do some sort of like class on how like exercise and all that other stuff that fits into sports.
Just did it.
Because, right. Because,
Torah-based yoga.
There is Torah yoga. Yeah, sure.
there's so much to be said, like what you talk about adherence and other things, like it's not going to be like I'm doing this because it takes a while for someone to get day, or, whatever else.
Mhm.
It reduces my stress, right?
Yeah.
For mental health.
Yes.
Right, it takes a lot, because, well, part of the reason is a lot of people don't know exactly what they need to do, because that's physical. So, but it has a lot to do with, like,
And CPAP.
different tiers, like, you continue when you look at motivation and how people are motivated, extrinsic versus intrinsic, I talk
Yeah.
about this all the time.
Yeah. Yeah.
That value is to be able to serve Hashem is really close to intrinsic, if not. Like, you're valuing that activity for a different reason.
Yeah.
And it will never disappear.
Right.
As opposed to if you lose the weight, or as opposed to if you're feeling good anyway.
Or you give up.
Whatever it is, right, so this will be always.
Right. So you have to remember, though, what Brad is saying, or said. There is also an important element of doing things for the wrong reasons in order to get to doing them for the right reasons. If you try to get people to come and exercise because this is what Hashem wants, you're going to be hard pressed. If you get people to come and exercise because they can shrink down a couple sizes, that's a better motivator in the beginning. But you're right. You need to transition from that into the better motivation. Yes. Right, Brad?
I mean, I think we should take Gold's Gym and take out the L, and then we've got God's Gym.
I like it. I like it. All right. Next class will be on the treadmills, folks.
I guess that marketing degree paid off.
You'll probably get sued, by the way. Just saying. Huh?
Put in ellipticals.
Yeah, we have to replace all the tables.
Yeah. Or we'll get those little bike things at the pedals for under the seats. Yeah, we'll get those. And of course, we'll have CPAPs at every seat, so everyone can sleep well.
Learn and spin. McDonald's has one with the pedals and stuff.
McDonald's. Why don't you not go to McDonald's? That'll help.
There's a difference between, like, physical activity and exercise, so that's not.
Eating's a physical activity. All right.
There's certain things to maintain health, and there's other things to then make it up. Whatever. Okay, sorry. We need to go on that.
All right. Okay, let's finish up over here. When a person does use this world in this way that we've just described, he will find that this using the physical world itself is what brings a person to perfection. As we explained. The yikne by Maila Amitis, and you'll be able to reach the true heights. Kamaisha yikne b'maise kol mitzvahs kulan, no different than the heights you could reach through doing acts of mitzvahs. Now that's a big sentence right there. He's saying that a person can shake a lulav and reach a height, and a person can eat a meal and reach the same height. It all depends on how and why. As long as you're doing it for the right reasons, it's in the right context, it's all lined up the way he explained it with those criteria that we mentioned, the three things, then you can accomplish perfection to the same degree that you can accomplish through mitzvahs. Fascinating. Ki gam zeh mitzvah leinu, because this itself is a mitzvah. Lishmar es gufeinu, to guard and protect our bodies. B'hachana haguna, with the proper prevention. L'shanucha laved b'yetz b'reinu, in order to be able to serve Hashem with it. V'nishtamish me'olam, and to use this world, l'kavana zu, with this intention. L'tachle zeh, and for this goal, kefi hamitzarech lanu, whatever is necessary for that. V'nimtzinu anachnu mis'alim b'maaseh hazeh, then we will find ourselves being elevated through these actions. And the whole world becomes elevated through this. Because the world is helping the person serving Hashem. So just put this in perspective. Let's say I sit down to breakfast and my intention here is, this is for my health, this is to get me through my day, this is to help me serve Hashem. This is my goal. And it's healthy, it's the right thing, I'm doing exactly what I'm supposed to be doing. So not only have I just been elevated through this, but the world around me has been elevated as well. How? Well, I'm eating with, let's say it's cereal, so I'm eating with a bowl and a spoon. The materials that went into that bowl and spoon are helping my service of Hashem, so they become elevated. The people that made the bowl and the spoon were part of that process, and they're also elevated now. And the same is true for the cereal. And every ingredient in that cereal, and everybody back on the farm that made those ingredients, and everybody running that, and it's a never-ending cycle. But everything becomes elevated in the world around me because of the single act that I do for the right reasons. It's fascinating. Fascinating. And, yeah, that's for sure. And just to understand this, the Chavos HaLevavos, Duties of the Heart, which is, a much older work of Moser Machshava, he kind of goes through the same process, but a little bit shorter. But basically, initially, he splits everything we do into three sections. He says the things we're allowed to do, the things we need to do, the things we're not allowed to do, and the things we can do. There's mitzvahs, there's averos, and then there's reshus, the things that are allowed. But then he says, no, it's really just two categories. Because within the allowed category, it's either going to be a mitzvah or it's not. So really everything that we do is either a mitzvah or the opposite. So it's important to understand that everything that we do has not only the opportunity to be a mitzvah, but it also, unfortunately, has the flip side. If we don't do it for the right reasons, it could be an aveira. So it's very critical to understand what the Derech Hashem is saying over here. Everything that we do, we can do it for the right reasons, and it will become just as much of a mitzvah as fasting on Yom Kippur, and just as much of a mitzvah as eating a Shabbos meal, and just as much of a mitzvah as eating matzah at the Seder. My eating breakfast can be the same level. A lot to think about, and we should think about it every moment of our lives. On the treadmill. There you go. And while we're sleeping. All right. Very good.